I've got to say, I've got to start with that question that Christopher Hope so ably set us up for. Are you going to stand?
I think the timing of this general election has quite a lot to do with me. Quite a lot to do with me. He was scared. He'd heard rumours, true or not, he'd heard rumours that I was going to go back into the frontline political fray. And if you gave me a 6-month run against the worst, most insincere Conservative Prime Minister in history, against the most boring House Party guest as leader of the Labour Party, and even Matthew Larson won't disagree with that. Well, not much. I think reform was a very big factor in this decision.
The idea that reform wouldn't be able to build up a ground game, build up a head of steam?
Reform's problem is not what it stands for. Reform's problem is a lack of infrastructure on the ground. So I do think that's a major part of the problem. So what the Prime Minister has chosen, suicide over obliteration. They're going to lose, whether they get 150 seats, 180 seats, I've no idea. They feared, leave it 6 months, it could be 50 seats. It could be the end of the Conservative Party after 200 years as we know it. That's what he's chosen. So I'm unsurprised that Chris Hope tells us there are backbenchers putting letters in. Now, quite what that all means, I've no idea, given that a general election has been called. They are on course to lose the election. They deserve to lose the election. I personally hope they lose the election. I hope them in 2019 more than any other human being. The formation of the Brexit Party removed Theresa May.
Pushed the Tories down to 9% in the polls.
Yeah, and they could get back there. They could get back there. I mean, why would you vote for them? If you're a red wall voter, concerned about open borders, given what these guys have done, with record levels of legal and illegal immigration, why would you vote for them?
But what you're saying today, Nigel, is that this 6-week campaign that the Prime Minister fired the starting gun on today is too short a campaign time for reform to make any serious damage in the Tory vote?
No, reform will make Richard Tice has got the party up and running. There are 500 candidates selected. He will get more. The whole plan for reform was that it was a 6-year plan. A 6-year plan. Fight this election, get ready for when Labour fail, which they will. I mean, Starmer's first cabinet will not have the competence that Blair's first cabinet had by an absolute mile. So reform will fight the election. As for what I do, I'll think about it overnight.
So that's no commitment either way.
No commitment either way for me at the moment. I will think about it overnight.
Wow.
But I do think, it's funny, I met a cabinet minister at a social event on Monday of this week, and the venom directed towards me was quite extraordinary. The fear was quite extraordinary. They're about to become a losing party. They may, over the next couple of years, become an extinct tribe. I have no love for them. I stood aside for 319 of their candidates. I helped them get an 80-seat majority.
Which did deliver Brexit. It
delivered Brexit, but nothing else. Nothing else. The constitutional change happened. The rest of it was literally betrayal, what everyone stood for. So I'm no fan of Labour. I suspect our taxes will go up even more. I suspect that immigration won't get dealt with. But you know what? For most people out there working, they won't even notice the difference.
It's a strong statement for you to make. I wonder, in your view, was the Prime Minister's decision today about cutting his losses?
Yes, of course. As I say, suicide, not obliteration. And the mismanagement of it. I mean, I tell you what, it won't just be Private Eye next week that shows him standing in the rain. This will be an image for the next 30, 40, 50 years of total incompetence. I mean, give him an umbrella.
I thought it was just
I mean, that would look quite British, wouldn't it? I mean, the whole thing was a shambles. His speech. So I watched it with a.
Are you sure it wasn't just a well-pitched attempt at Tory wets?
Well, he certainly won that one. But I watched it. About a dozen of us watched it. And what was really funny was all of us are very involved in politics and what's going to happen. And within minutes, we weren't listening. We were laughing at the sheer farcical spectacle. I mean, disorganised, without any basis of underlying philosophy, with no agreement. The Conservative Party of today stands for nothing. It will lose the election, and whether I intervene or not is irrelevant. I hope it loses very heavily.
It's interesting.
Because it deserves to.
Because what Rishi Sunak today was saying was that Keir Starmer stands for nothing.
He's right. He's right.
You've got a choice between Mr. Nobody and Mr. Nothing.
I mean, honestly, these are the two most boring leaders. I mean, Sunak reading out like a blooming robot, and you've got the rain coming down. You've got
that took some metal standing in the rain.
If you want to think that that's a good image, then Tom, you need your head testing as well.
I'm sure some media advisor said, you know what, go out there, look tough.
We also had that yobbo Steve Bray at the end of the road playing music. Well, they've passed legislation to stop some of that stuff from happening, but didn't enforce it. It was amateur. Today's announcement is panicked last minute. They did it a week ago. This was not on the agenda. But there are two reasons why he's done it. One is he knows there are no planes going to Rwanda. It ain't going to happen. It can't happen. All the while we're signed up to ECHR, it can't happen. So he'll promise in the next few weeks, planes will go to... No planes are going to Rwanda, all the while part of the ECHR. That's one reason. Second reason is, and I promise you this, they were terrified that I'd spend 6 months fighting them.
Nigel, there's some Conservative press officer watching this conversation now who's going to clip you saying, no planes will go to Rwanda.
Yeah, good.
What if one plane goes?
Tom, listen to me. There are no planes going to Rwanda. And not unless we pay them $3,000 and give them 5 years free board. This isn't going to happen. And Sunak knows it's not going to happen. And this was what he'd based the Premiership on. And frankly, inflation down to 2.3%, just because your gas bill's down, I mean, still prices are going up. This doesn't scratch the ordinary family in this country. They're going to lose big, but get enough seats to believe they can survive as a political party. That's what today is all about.